All right, welcome to mobility. Today is going to be mostly a moving mobility day. So we're going to need our ball kit, and we're also going to need a mat because we're probably going to be on the ground for a lot of this. We're going to be focusing a lot on hip mobility and some shoulder mobility and some lower back mobility. So the first thing that we're going to do, as always, is we're going to start with our spiky ball. So the main key here is that we're going to get our spiky ball out and we're going to start rolling on the bottom of our feet. I'm just checking our camera angle here. You guys should be able to see me just fine. So I'm going to be here in the corner. I'm going to put the ball on the ground. We're going to do 1 minute on each foot. Now you can use a spiky ball or a golf ball or whatever seems like the best choice. We're just going to roll through the bottom of the foot. Today, whenever we do moving mobility days, what we're trying to do in movement mobility is we are trying to get the fascia, which is the tissue that holds our body together, to hydrate and mobilize and start to change shape based on introducing new vectors of movement. So a vector also means like a direction, right? So fascia is like a sponge, and when you put pressure on it, it pushes fluid out of it and brings in new fluid. Well, when fluid sits in fascia for a long time, it gets gel-like because of these things called GAGs, glycoaminoglycates, switch sides. And what we're trying to do is push out that jelly water or that still water and bring in new clean water, because that's going to make the fascia more bendy and stretchy and glidey. And then even worse than if that jelly stuff gets in it is if that goes on for a long period of time, the fascia goes from being in this nice lattice structure to being all bundled up so it kind of looks like a Brillo pad. If you don't know what a Brillo pad is, another way of thinking about it would be like a tangled ball of wires. And so what we're trying to do by introducing new movement is first get that stretch back in there, and by consistently introducing new movement, we're helping the fascia reorganize itself from that kind of chaotic ball of twine situation into a more lattice situation, which a lattice is when like shirts are woven in a lattice structure, if that makes sense. So it's like how fabric's woven. So now we're going to go ahead and take that and we're going to switch over to a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. And we're going to roll our glutes. So we're going to take our ball and we're going to press it against the wall, and we're going to massage our hips. And we're going to look for any area there that we can massage through, just like so. For me, I'm feeling it right along this region, but some people are going to feel it lower down there, and some may even feel it higher along the belt region. Whatever feels effective to you where you're sore, that's what you want to focus on with pressure and slow movement. Being more fascia is designed to resist force, so being aggressive with it is not helpful. It's actually a better slow, deep pressure is better with fascia than like an aggressive, hard pressure. So just kind of bear that in mind. If you're doing fascial work and you're noticing that it's not getting better, kind of ask yourself the question, well, how am I doing it? Because the properties of the fascia have a lot to do with how they're stimulated, where that pressure is coming from. We're going to switch sides. So now it's really important to understand that the hips for humans are a really, really important structure. And our hips are kind of the center of our movement from a functional perspective. And unfortunately, in the modern world, we spend an enormous amount of time actually not using our hips. And our hips and our feet are connected, which is why we always roll our hips and our feet together in these sessions, because a lot of the time, like say you have sore hips, you have to question, well, how strong are your feet? And if you have sore feet, or knees for that matter, you have to ask yourself, well, how strong are my hips? And it goes the other way too. My lumbar and my neck are also, those mechanics are heavily determined by my feet and my hips. So today we're going to be focusing a lot on movement of the hip, as we often do, because for so many people, this is the area that spends so much of our day frozen, sitting. All right, we're going to come off of there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with windshield wipers. And, you'll notice a lot of these things are repetitive. We revisit them often. And we're going to kind of scale the difficulty of these things today. So I'm going to start with my feet wider than my hips, and I'm going to rock in and out slowly and gently. Try to keep my hips relatively square and moving from the hip socket. I don't know if you can hear the clicking and popping coming out of my hips, but that does happen. So we're just going to very softly and gently rotate in and out like so, opening the hips. I'm driving the knee down, driving the other knee out. Just keeping everything slow and smooth to open up those rotators. Because even when we use our hips, like we don't use our rotational capacity that often. And the rotational capacity is the most important capacity for hips. Today I'm going to introduce some new exercises a lot of you guys haven't seen before or haven't seen in a long time. And it's going to be all about getting those hips to open up and balance out. So now we're going to go ahead and switch to putting our feet and knees together. And we're going to do lower trunk rotations now for a minute. I want to keep my shoulders on the ground. I want to keep my feet and knees squeezed together. And I'm just going to rock side to side. You'll notice I'm not getting to the ground. Now, if I let my legs come apart like this, I can get to the ground. But I don't want to do that. I want to keep these together so I can feel that end feeling, which I mostly, for me personally, feel through here in my back. And that helps me know that I am mobilizing the thoracolumbar fascia, which is this giant rift of connective tissue in my lower back, where most of us hold that tension. We just don't realize it. So I'm rocking. And like I said, we're going to do a lot of hip work today. So working a lot on how my hips balance and sit, because my pelvis is such an important part of my posture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross my ankle over my knee like this. And I'm going to reach to the ground and tap the ground. Now for me, I feel a stretch right here when I do this, and I'm going to come back. But I kind of have notoriously tight hips in this figure 4 position. I have a very hard time getting my hip up there and my foot up there. So we're just going to do this for a minute. We're just going to keep our shoulder blades down. We're going to reach to touch, and we're going to see if it gets easier as we go. Again, I'm not being fast or aggressive. I'm just moving through the range of motion, trying to let that muscle release, just like so. Opening up the hip. And why are we using movement? Because static stretching often focuses on the nervous system and the muscle cells, the myocells. We're not doing that kind of stuff. We're doing myofascial mobilization by finding those end ranges of motion and using these pulsing rhythmic actions to pump the tissue to help realign it and rehydrate it. That's really important. Good, we're gonna go ahead and switch. Other side. Now you may notice that you have more tension in one hip than the other. That's normal, and that's okay. I use my hips a lot. And what I mean by that is I am often standing with clients. I walk because I live currently in Europe. And it doesn't matter if I'm in Prague or Albania, I probably walk between 10 and 12,000 steps a day, just living my normal life and running my normal errands, because I mostly use bicycle, foot traffic, and public transit. That's not to say that you can't drive in these cities. I just don't. So, it's different than living in America. But they say developed nations, the average person in a developed nation walks around 6,000 steps a day. And the average American is less than 5,000. It's about 4,700. But we all know that we need about 10,000. Well, if our hips and our knees and our ankles hurt when we walk, it makes it really hard to get 10,000 steps a day, doesn't it? So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn over on our stomach, like so. And I'm going to bring, sorry, I got ahead of myself. I'm going to go ahead and bring one knee up next to me, just like so. Now I've got two ways I can do this. I can tuck my elbows in like this, and I can hold myself up in a static stretch, trying to feel the hip flexor on my back leg stretching. If I don't feel that hip flexor, what I can do is place my palms on the ground and drive all the way up, and then come all the way back down. Drive all the way up and come all the way back down. Now, if you don't want to go up and down, you can drive up into that and hold it and just try to release that hip flexor. But you may find that your arms get tired doing this. And that's why I recommend a variation of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prop myself up on my elbows like this, because I feel the stretch when I do this. I'm also trying to flex this glute and drive this hip into the ground. So I don't need to do a big motion if I can isolate the muscle through my brain-body connection. So we're going to hold that for a minute, and we're just going to stretch through there and let that open up. Because for a lot of us, these front hip flexors, these are deep abdominal muscles. They shorten during the day due to stress, due to fatigue, and due to chronic sitting posture. And for the vast majority of us, these play a big role in lower back pain and even sacral pain. So, and what's interesting is they're cyclical. So if they get tight and sore and your back gets tight and sore, then your psoas gets tight and sore because it's protecting your lower back, which then gets tight and sore, and it becomes a cycle. So we want to try to interrupt that cycle. Now you'll notice that we've gone through a series of movements. Now at the end of this, we're going to go back through the same series of movements, but we're going to add a dynamic to all of them. All right, go ahead and let yourself down. We're going to switch sides. I'm going to straighten that leg out. I'm going to bring the other knee up as high as I can. I'm going to pick myself up on my elbows. And I'm going to try to squeeze my glute on this side and drive that hip down while keeping my chest up. I'm not hanging like this. I'm keeping my chest up, projecting my elbows into the ground. It's really important. Some people just have chronically tight hips. And it's for a variety of reasons. It can have to do with stress. It can have to do with your personality type. It can have to do with your lifestyle. It has a lot of different reasons. Muscular imbalances, all sorts of stuff. So we're just going to breathe into our diaphragm and try to relax those muscles. Like if you're the type of person that has a hard time getting all the way up in a bridge, you probably have tight hip flexors. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back down like so. We're gonna straighten that leg out. We are going to now pick ourselves up into a kind of a push-up position. What I'm gonna do is sit back into child's pose like so. I am gonna keep my heels tucked toward my butt the entire time. I'm gonna squeeze my glutes and drive my hips down and then push back. So I'm going to do that for 10 repetitions. So I'm going to push back, trying to release my lower back when I'm in child's pose. I'm going to come forward, squeezing my glutes and driving my chest forward. So I'm going to go 1, sitting back. 2, sitting back. 3, now this is our hip flexors that we're stretching when we do this, but you might feel it in your back. 4, that's because your hip flexors attached to the front side of your spine, right in your lumbar. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. All right, now go ahead and grab a drink of water. I'm going to check the time here so I know how much time we have left. All right, so we have enough time to run through the dynamic section. So before we finish up, what I'd like to do is add one more stretch to the end here. We are going to rock forward into a lunge stretch, and then we're going to rock back into a hamstring stretch. So forward into a lunge stretch, back into a hamstring stretch. Forward into a lunge stretch, back into a hamstring stretch. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to rock forward into that lunge, back into my hamstring. Forward into the lunge, back into my hamstring. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the beginning and we're going to do this windshield wipers, but we're going to do them sitting up, where we're going to rock to one side, bring our chest forward, then rock to the other side, bring our chest forward. And we're going to try to do that just in a nice, smooth action. We're going to go 1, 1, just like so. And I'm keeping this arm posted so that way I drive my chest towards my shins, and I'm trying not to round my upper back, which I'm not even great at. So we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to rock to one side, come forward. 1, rock to the other side, come forward. 1. And again, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Now you can see I'm in a small space, so I'm just picking my butt up and rotating. 6, which you can do that. 6, which you don't have to do that if you have a nice big space. 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10. Very good. All right, now we're going to lay on our back. We're going to pick our knees up off the ground, squeezing them together. We're going to do lower trunk rotations, but now the feet don't rest on the ground. We keep everything together, going as far as we can without letting the shoulders come up off the ground. So I'm going to do 10 on each side, same thing. Nice and slow. We're trying to pump that thoracolumbar fascia, starting in 3, 2, 1. We're going to rock. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, keeping the knees high. 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10. Very good. Now, we're going to go ahead and turn over on our stomach. We're going to go ahead and make that one leg long like we did before. I'm going to have the other knee up. I'm going to get myself into the position where I feel a stretch. And I'm going to take my back foot and I'm going to pull it up toward my hip, stretching out the tissue on the front side of that hip. Now you'll see what I just did there was I repositioned my hip so that my hip is very much pointing down and I feel the stretch more now. So I'm going to hold this position. I'm going to pick that foot up and then slowly lower. We're going to do that for 10 repetitions, starting in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to pull up. 1, come back down, keeping my chest up. 2, if I have to push into the ground, I can. 3, that will help. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one more, 10. Great. Now we're going to straighten that leg out, bring it around. We're going to switch and do the other side. So I'm going to bring that knee up. I'm going to be on my elbows, and then you'll watch. I'm going to take this foot and reset my hip so it's pointed forward and I feel the stretch. All right, starting in 3, pushing down, 2, 1. I'm going to pull that knee up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one more, 10. Excellent. All right, so now we're going to straighten that leg out. We're going to put our knees wide into a frog position. So I'm going to have my knees wide and I'm going to touch my feet behind me into a child's pose position. And from here, I'm going to do the exact same thing we did before, where I'm going to come up, pulling my feet up. I'm going to drive my hips forward, but now it's going to really focus in on the hip flexors. So I'm going to come forward, 1, and then rock back, just like so. If that bothers your lower back, transition to the other one where your knees are together, but try this. So we're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Knees are wide, feet still touching. I'm driving, keeping my chest up, and then rocking back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Now, we're going to sit up and we're going to do that lunge and hamstring stretch. When we do this, we're going to rock forward, but this time we're going to place our hands on the ground and we're going to do the hamstring stretch by pushing our butt back. So we're going to actually have our hands down and push forward. Hips go forward, opening up the back hip, and then pushing back, opening up the front hamstring. You'll see I can't straighten my leg like this. So I'm going to drive forward, back. I don't have as much range of motion. So get into this position, rock forward, take your hands, place them on the ground, and we're going to come forward into the hip, like so, and then back into the hamstring. 1, and then come forward and back. 2, forward, back. 3, forward, back. 4, forward, back. 5, forward. Really bringing my chest up. 6. So I'm moving from my hips, not from my spine. 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. Now we're going to walk back, switch. So hips are forward. I'm driving into the hip, feeling a stretch here, and then pushing back. 1, forward, pushing back. 2, forward, pushing back. 3, pushing back. 4, pushing back. 5, pushing back. 6, pushing back. 7, pushing back. 8, 9, 10. Great. All right, now you get to go ahead and stand up. Take a little walk around, see how everything's feeling. Give yourself a little twist. And that is our mobility for today. Pretty comprehensive in the hips. The only thing we really didn't get into is the inner thighs. But if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And I will see you guys tomorrow for core and coordination.